पीसीबी पॉडकास्ट की 47वीं किस्त में आप सबको खुश आमदीद। मैं हूं आपका मेजबान सैयद नजीर अहमद और आज इस पॉडकास्ट में हम कराएंगे आपकी मुलाकात पाकिस्तान मेंस टीम की मैनेजमेंट में शामिल हेड कोच ग्रांट ब्रैडबर्न, डायरेक्टर पाकिस्तान मेंस क्रिकेट टीम मिकी आर्थर और टीम मैनेजर रेहान उल हक से। साथ ही साथ पाकिस्तान टीम के ओपनिंग बल्लेबाज फखर जमान को भी आप सुनेंगे इस पॉडकास्ट में। टीम के हेड कोच और टीम मैनेजर ने पॉडकास्ट में खुसूसी गुफ्तगू करते हुए पाकिस्तान वे की फिलॉसफी पर रोशनी डाली है। आइए सुनते हैं ग्रांट ब्रैडबर्न और रेहान उल हक का पाकिस्तान वे के बारे में क्या कहना है।
It's a dream come true today. Absolute honour and a privilege to be announced as head coach of a team such as Pakistan. Pakistan is dear to my heart. I first toured here in 1990, so I made my test debut in Karachi and made my one-day debut in Peshawar, which was a real experience. But so it's always been dear to my heart. And having worked here as well as fielding coach 2018 to 2020, and then head of high performance coaching as well, I feel I've almost done an apprenticeship for this role. It's a dream come true, and really looking forward to the challenge of taking this team to new levels with Mickey Arthur. An absolute wonderful series and opportunity for our team. First of all, the New Zealand team is an excellent outfit, and in fact, in some of the games, their numbers of either T20Is or ODIs were actually greater than our Pakistan numbers as well. So it was a very tough challenge, which was great for us. And 5 months out from the World Cup, it was a fantastic opportunity for us to play our full team. We had the intention of playing our bench as well, which was an excellent opportunity to really answer some questions for us and the selectors leading into such an important year. Well, I intend to do things perhaps a little bit differently than most Pakistan coaches. I'm actually going to build on the good things that have come before. I'm not going to wipe aside everything that Suckling has done. In fact, I'm going to build upon it. I'm not going to wipe aside everything that Misbah has done. Wonderful things I've learned from Misbah, from Waka, from Azam Mahmood, from Grant Flower, from Mickey Arthur. You know, it's a melting pot of all the wonderful learnings that I've had from those coaches and many more mentors that I've had a fortunate experience to be involved with in Pakistan. I intend to build upon that. I'm going to bring my own flavour. Mickey's going to bring his own flavour. We are definitely going to challenge the players and we're going to support them and we're going to help them get better. The level of cricket that we're playing now is not going to be good enough for us to win major events, so we need to continually improve, and that's one of the big changes that Mickey and I are going to bring. Very simple. It's something that unites the nation. It puts a flag in the ground, a marker in the ground, if you like, saying that's where we want to be, that's where we want to go, and we want to contend to be the top of the world in all formats of the game. And to contend, we have to live in the top 3 of the world in all formats of the game for us seriously to be in contention to win major events. That's our aim, to be top of the world. But to do that, we need to understand, okay, if we want to be there, this is what our team needs to display. This is what our individuals need to be able to do. This is how we need to select our teams with consistency, with strategy, with systemised development of our players, not just plucking them out of a bucket and asking them to perform for their nation. To develop our players, to help them get better. Also for our coaches, this is a consistent idea of this is what our teams need to look like. This is what our players need to look like for us to achieve that goal. And it just puts it very simply on a one-pager, if you like, and it just gives us something to use as a foundation. And we're not telling coaches how to develop players. Pakistan, we are so fortunate. We've got some wonderful coaches in the regions. They know how to produce fast bowlers especially. We're not going to tell them how to produce them, but we're going to be very clear on what we need to be contenders for world titles. And no longer do we want to be mediocre. We want to be putting ourselves into contention to win major events in the world, and that's where Mickey and I want to take this team. Absolutely. It's such a privilege to be back in the company of this team. They're a wonderful group of human beings. They are amazingly skilled. and we have so many people on the fringes who are also amazingly skilled. It's daunting when you think that there's 240 million people in this country and cricket has no competitor, and everyone wants to be in that room, in that 15 or 11 that takes the field. I talk to our boys on how much of a privilege that is. I talk about the cap and taking that cap forward. So many wonderful players in Pakistan have come before. So many players in Pakistan will come again in the future. Now is their time. Now is their time to wear that cap, to wear the badge, and walk out and represent 240 million people and take that cap forward. It can be maybe seen as a daunting prospect, but I know that this group of players are relishing that opportunity to represent Pakistan. They're relishing the opportunity to have clarity, to have honesty, to have aspiration of where we're going in the world. We want to be living in that top three and contending to be number one in the world in all formats of the game. Yeah, look, it's a wonderful opportunity this year. It's a massive year. Everyone wants to. It's a World Cup year. It's an Asia Cup year, and then early next year it's the T20 World Cup. So we have so much to look forward to. So much to. There's a desperation within our players for us to make the necessary changes in our game and unite our team with clarity to really contend for those events.
इसमें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है कि देयर इज क्लैरिटी ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन इसमें बहुत जरूरी है. सो फॉर एग्जांपल टीम डायरेक्टर हमारे इस वक्त मिकी आर्थर हैं, उनकी वो जिस टाइप की क्रिकेट खेलना चाहते हैं दैट शुड बी सिमिलर. जो हमारे हेड कोच हैं ग्रांट ब्रैडबर्न, उनकी भी वही अप्रोच होनी चाहिए एंड द सेम मैसेज शुड बी डिलीवर्ड थ्रू द टीम मैनेजर टू द प्लेयर्स कि वो एक ही अप्रोच के साथ वो आ रहा है. दूसरी चीज के इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, वी कॉल इट द पाकिस्तान वे, और हम वो क्या स्ट्रेटजी फॉलो कर रहे हैं उसमें एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. एवरी पाकिस्तानी शुड आस्क देमसेल्व्स के what does it mean to be a Pakistani? कि as a people हम किस तरह के हैं. तो as a people we हमारा ये है कि we are very resilient people. We know when we are put in a corner उस टाइम हम fight back कैसे करते हैं, और हमारी सारी हिस्ट्री क्रिकेट की भी ये रही है. तो to get more out of that, यानी बेसिकली ये होता है कि पहले you are put under pressure and then you come out of it, whereas when you have the ability to come out of it, तो why don't you start off that way, and that is by being aggressive. एग्रेसिव होने का ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप हर बॉल पे जाके यू स्टार्ट प्लेइंग शॉट्स एंड ऑल. दैट्स द जॉब ऑफ द कोचेस टू डिफाइन हाउ दैट्स डन. एग्रेसिव होने का मतलब ये है कि यू आर वेरी क्लियर इन व्हाट यू वांट टू डू. अगर आपने बॉल छोड़नी है तो यू आर वेरी क्लियर इन वांटिंग टू लीव द बॉल. दैट्स एग्रेशन. एग्रेशन इज के you want to play that way and certain way, impose yourself on the opposition. तो हम अक्सर बात करते हैं इंग्लैंड का स्टाइल ऑफ प्ले क्या है, एंड एवरीवन लुक्स अप टू इंग्लैंड के बैस बॉल वो लेके आए या जिस तरह वो व्हाइट बॉल क्रिकेट खेलते हैं. तो हमारी अपनी एक आइडेंटिटी है एज अ क्रिकेट टीम, हमें वो आइडेंटिटी अपनानी चाहिए, वो इस आइडेंटिटी को फॉरवर्ड लेके जाना चाहिए. एंड एट द एंड ऑफ द डे द आइडिया इज कि आज से 2 साल बाद या 3 साल बाद, ये एक रात में नहीं होगा, 2 रातों में नहीं होगा, 2 महीने में नहीं होगा, 3 महीने में नहीं होगा. इट विल टेक टाइम. बट जब ये प्रोसेस कंप्लीट हो तो पीपल से दैट वी वांट टू प्ले दैट वे. That way is the Pakistan way, which is aggressive, which is in your face, and at the same time intelligent and clever, and street smart. That all those things represent a Pakistani. So that's why we are calling it the Pakistan way. और वो culture और identity develop करना बहुत जरूरी है. Without, I'm sure Mickey Arthur ने भी same चीज mention की है कि without culture, without that style of play, अगर आप matches जीतते रहे तो it's bound to eventually fail. But अगर आपका culture ठीक है, आपकी identity है, आपका एक style of play है, तो इवन इफ यू आर लूजिंग इवेंचुअली उसके रिजल्ट्स बेहतर आएंगे. तो द आइडिया इज टू बिल्ड दैट कल्चर, टू बिल्ड दैट एनवायरनमेंट वेयर एवरीवन इज फोकस्ड ऑन द टीम विनिंग ऑन दैट. एंड इसमें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज ये कि अभी तक जितनी मेरी इंटरेक्शन हुई है विद द टीम एंड मेरा पहला टूर था, so some of the things are really really encouraging. For example, going after high scores even when batting first. For example, जो second highest chase पाकिस्तान की हिस्ट्री में हुआ है, बाबर आजम एज कैप्टन लीडिंग फ्रॉम द फ्रंट. ये चीजें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. एंड इवन एवरीवन इज ट्राइंग टू पुश देयर लिमिट्स. तो उसमें रोटेशन पॉलिसी को इम्प्लीमेंट करना, पीपल गिवन सिक्योरिटी इन देयर प्लेसेस. और जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज अबाउट द पाकिस्तान वे फॉर मी पर्सनली एंड आई थिंक इज इम्पॉर्टेंट इज के अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स क्या होता है कि एवरीवन इज वरीड अबाउट फेलिंग, कि अगर मैं फेल हो गया तो उसके कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस क्या होंगे. द अप्रोच इज कि उस माइंडसेट को आप चेंज करके ले आओ कि अगर मैं सक्सीड कर गया तो उसके क्या फायदे होंगे. So that's the culture we want to build. के you play with the will to succeed rather than the failure, the fear of failure. So that's the idea behind it, and you will eventually see that's something that we're trying to incorporate into our culture, and you will see that happening, inshallah. Or everyone is aligned, from the director cricket to head coach to the captain. Everyone is aligned and on the same page in terms of the style of and the brand of cricket that the Pakistan team needs to play with. इसमें important चीज है कि कोई भी culture एक अकेला बंदा develop नहीं कर सकता. तो if I say कि कल को टीम जीतना शुरू हो जाए तो उसका और सारे कहेंगे जी कल्चर डेवलप एक बंदे ने किया था, दैट इज इम्पॉसिबल. वो कल्चर एज अ टीम डेवलप होता है, उसमें सिर्फ टीम मैनेजर नहीं, बैकरूम स्टाफ, एवरी पर्सन इज इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट. आपके लेजन ऑफिसर से लेके, आपके वीडियोग्राफर से लेके, आपके मीडिया मैनेजर से लेके, आपके कोचेस से लेके, एवरीवन इज ऑन द सेम पेज. फिर वो कल्चर डेवलप होता है. और वो सेम पेज ये है कि आपने एक ऐसा एनवायरनमेंट क्रिएट करना विच इज हेल्दी. हेल्दी एनवायरनमेंट का ये मतलब नहीं कि आपने हर वक्त ये कहते रहना कि यार गुड गुड गुड, यू डन अ ग्रेट जॉब. हेल्दी एनवायरनमेंट का ये मतलब है कि देयर इज ऑनेस्टी. अगर आपको किसी चीज का, किसी को इशू है, इंडिविजुअल को इशू है, तो वो हिचकिचाए ना बात करते हुए किसी भी बंदे से. तो माय जॉब इज कि अगर फॉर एग्जांपल कोई इफ इट्स अ कैप्टन, इफ इट्स द यंगेस्ट प्लेयर इन द टीम, बोथ ऑफ देम शुड फील कंफर्टेबल talking about the issues that they are facing with me. And maybe अगर मैं सोल्यूशन निकाल सकता हूँ, सोल्यूशन निकले. सोल्यूशन नहीं निकल सकता तो उनको ऑनेस्टी मिले. सो ये इसका कल्चर के पीछे ये वो है. और इसके ऊपर ये भी है कि देन यू नीड सपोर्ट फ्रॉम एवरीवन, बिकॉज ये एक बंदे के नहीं कर सकता. ये जितना मर्जी आप बात करें कि वन पर्सन चेंज द एंटायर कल्चर और चेंज द एंटायर थिंग, तो वो नहीं पॉसिबल. उसमें देन द प्लेयर्स ऑल्सो नीड टू बाय इनटू दैट, and then the players also need to gel together, stick together. And वो जो team का environment है, the team first, everyone talks about that, but how you implement it is very important. And उसमें honesty बहुत जरूरी है. Honesty इस चीज की कि I performed really well, so basically why did I perform well, what support did I get from my team. Also when you are going through a rough patch, तो आपके पास इतना होना चाहिए कि आप एडमिट करो. और दूसरी चीज ये होनी चाहिए कि आप अब जब रफ पैच में जा रहे हो, दैट इज व्हेन पीपल नीड सपोर्ट. पीपल डोंट नीड सपोर्ट व्हेन दे आर डूइंग वेल. Support is needed when someone is not going through a good time. So I mean, we are there to help them, facilitate them, and it's very important to remember that जो behind the scenes staff होता है, from coaching staff to everyone, उनका main काम है to facilitate the superstars and superstars players.
उम्मीद है आपको दोनों की गुफ्तगू पसंद आई होगी. अब बात करते हैं मिकी आर्थर की, जिन्होंने प्रेजेंटर ज़ैनब अब्बास से पाकिस्तान और न्यूजीलैंड सीरीज के दरमियान गुफ्तगू की. आइए सुनते हैं मिकी आर्थर का क्या कहना था.
Mickey, great to have you here. Wonderful to have you back. You're coming back in a different capacity though this time. You are the team director. So how does it feel to be back in Pakistan?
First of all, Zee, it's a privilege to be back. It really is to be. Pakistan cricket never leaves you. There's an emotional attachment to it. It's been fantastic. We've had a pretty full-on couple of days trying to get the boys the direction of the team game, individual meetings, etc. But it's just such a pleasure to be back. I'm really passionate about this job. I'm passionate about this country, and we've got a World Cup to win.
So if I were to ask you, what kind of vision does a team director have? So in terms of just the Pakistan team, if I were to ask you, where do you want to see them in the next couple of years? What would you say?
We actually discussed it the other night as a team, and I mean, obviously won't go into all the discussion around that. But I just looked around the room and I just saw the talent that was in the room, and we 6, 5, and 3 in the world across different formats, and that's not good enough. This team deserves to be the best. This team deserves to be number 1 in the world. I've got a real plan to get them there. I've got a vision to get them there. First and foremost, we've brought in a really good support staff, a support staff that I trust, a support staff that I've worked with, a support staff that I know is going to be challenging the players every day to become better. And you asked as a team director, I oversee it all. I sort of give the helicopter vision. I've got 2 very able lieutenants in the team. Grant Bradburn is superb. Rehan is outstanding for us as team manager. There's 2 tested guys there who the 3 of us talk daily and are very, very aligned in where we want to take the team.
So in this time that you've been away, you've managed to coach other teams as well. You're coaching Derbyshire as well. But what did you miss coaching about Pakistan in particular?
I tell you what you miss. You miss the colour, you miss the passion, you miss the noise, but you miss the talent. So those are the four things. I mean, when I walked into that room again last night and saw the boys, it was just electric again, because they're just such good players. But they need to be challenged, they need to be pushed, because I don't think they even know where their ceiling is. Their ceiling is so much higher than what they're producing at the moment. And it's my job and my role to let them fulfill their expectations, and that's to be the best.
You said that you miss the talent within Pakistan. I mean, how do you compare this talent to the rest of the world?
The talent's amazing. I had 2 great years at Sri Lanka. There were some very, very talented players there. But when I look at you watch the PSL, you watch the young players coming through, it's just so exciting. So exciting, and to be part of it again it's just electric. It's mind-blowing.
What do you reckon are the strengths of this Pakistan side?
There's world-class players. There really is world-class players. The key for us is making them turn those class into match-winning performances. The strength of the batting of the side, we've got a world-class batsman. We've got some very, very good batsmen. But I just marvel at our bowling attack. The ability to bowl sides out, defend totals in all forms is mouth-watering. I just think it's an amazing attack. I go so far as to say it's almost the best in the world, particularly in white ball cricket. I do think our bowling attack, we've got a little bit of a way to go in Test cricket, but getting the right balance there. But in white ball cricket, it's a phenomenal group of players.
What about the weaknesses of the side?
Without giving too much away, there are certain areas that we need to improve on. I think Grant and I have had in-depth conversations with Babar, Haroon, part of the selection panel, as to a strategy and a brand we think that's going to be successful for us in the World Cup. So we've looked at potential guys that can fill that role. I do think overs 10 to 40 in the World Cup are going to be crucial. We need to find batsmen who can bat that long period of time, particularly batsmen who could play spin. I think spin's going to play a massive role at that phase in the World Cup. And similarly with our bowlers, we've got to find bowlers who can take wickets in that phase, because the only way you stop guys scoring in these days in modern day cricket is by taking wickets. So we need to pick genuine wicket takers. So we've got a very, very clear vision. We've ranked our players. We know where our players sit. We know who first is. We know who second is. We know who third is. And we've just got to give them opportunities leading up to that World Cup, so that when we hit that World Cup, we're ready to go.
Who are the players that have really impressed you so far, that you've observed, you feel have great potential?
Oh, look, I think, I've just been, I've been drawn into Mohammed Harris. He's just a vibrant character. He's been great fun over the last couple of days. I watched him bat. He's got an unbelievable talent. Saim Ayub, incredible talent. He's got it all. I believe he can be that player for us that can dominate those overs 10 to 40 at times. I think he's that good. I've been really impressed. Ishanullah, I thought he was outstanding during the World. I mean, he bowls rockets. He's so quick. He's been outstanding. I was really impressed when Abra got his debut in the Test matches. I thought that, mystery spinner. But I think he needs to get a little bit quicker. But there's a genuine wicket taker there. So again, I could talk about numerous players, but those are the ones that just come to mind straight out.
Now, you've also coached in the HBL PSL. It is almost a breeding ground for young Pakistan cricketers, then go on to play for the national side as well. I mean, when you compare it to some of the other leagues of the world, I mean, how do you rate the HBL PSL? A lot of the fast bowling battery has been first noticed within that particular setup.
I think it's as good a competition as there is out there. I've been to a lot of competitions now. I've watched a lot of competitions. I think the talent is amazing. I think the passion, the excitement, the competitiveness of the PSL is unrivaled. Because I tell you what, playing in front of full houses means players play under pressure. And there's no substitute for that. And that was the one thing. When I was in Dubai, I went to the Emirates League. You know, the stadiums were in full. And I think with full stadiums adds another dimension. It certainly adds a lot more pressure and becomes a better breeding ground for players. So for me, you ask me, I think HBL PSL, I think's the best bowling competition in the world. I think it develops a lot of great bowlers, and probably got a little bit of a way to go in the batting.
Now, I remember that you spoke about in your tenure when you were last as a coach with the Pakistan side that, you know, Babar has great potential and you see him becoming a test cricketer, and since then to now, how do you think he's evolved as a player in all formats? And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I have to ask you how you compare him to the Fab Four, as the world names them. You know, you've seen the Williamsons, you've seen the Kohlis. I mean, and this is going to be an unbiased answer, I'm hoping.
He sits as good as any of them. Without a doubt he does. And I tell you why he does that, because he keeps doing it in different conditions. He keeps doing it in different formats. And the one thing I like about, and I've always said about Babar, is he strives to get better. He wants to get better every day. He's a true model professional. And that is an unbiased answer, because he's just that good. I honestly believe he sits very favourably in that Fab Four, and any one of that Fab Four would say Babar Azam sits very favourably with them as well.
What about Shahid Afridi? You know, he's come back after an injury, a career-threatening injury at one point it was considered to be. But, you know, he's managed to recover, win, Lahore Qalandars, another HBL PSL trophy. So, how have you rated his journey so far?
Phenomenal. You know, I'm so impressed with him as a guy. He's matured so much. I said to all of them, actually, you know, I was standing in front of them. It was a surreal experience, because the last time I did that, they were all boys, and now a lot of them, they've developed into men, and a lot of them are married, and they've become proper men. And
is that what happens after marriage?
Yeah, it does. They've just developed and matured, and Shahid Afridi is I can't speak more highly of him. The last couple of days, the interaction I've had with him has been absolutely fantastic. But his cricket is mouth-watering as well. So he's developed his batting. I couldn't believe watching his batting in the PSL. I thought, what's he doing coming in ahead of David Visa? And then he went on and produced match-winning innings. But that just shows that every day he's tried to develop his game, and he's tried to get better and better, and that's a hallmark and a credit to him.
Okay, what about matchups? I know this is a term that goes around the cricketing fraternity a lot. I mean, is that something that you believe in? Are you a very data-driven coach?
Data has its place, 100% it does. Matchups are really good to know. I think the less information given to the players in that, though, the better, because you don't want to confuse them too much. They've got to play their best game still. And I still believe if the player plays his best game, that's good enough. But matchups are they're definitely there. You know, there's the left-hand, right-hand combination. Some guys don't play leg spin well. Some guys don't play left-arm spin well. Some guys battle to guys coming around the wicket or over the wicket. I know all that. I know all that stats. But you've still got to have the personnel to go out there and execute it. So I do believe it. And if I think there's a really good matchup that we can use, and we've got the personnel to execute, perfect.
All right. What about your own coaching philosophy? You know, from 2019 to now, it's been a couple of years, and with times, you know, the demands of cricket also change, just in terms of thinking. How have you changed your thinking, or would you say that you're pretty much the same as you were before? No,
you've had to evolve as a coach. There's no ways in the modern cricketing world that you can just stagnate and say that's the only way to do it. There's no ways you can do that, and you can't do that and survive anymore. So I've had to evolve, and I think every year I evolve, and hopefully every year I think I become better and better at the job I do. My coaching philosophy is very, very simple though. It's building, first of all, building the relationship with the players, getting their trust, being honest with them, having those good conversations, analysing their technique, but then taking them on a journey. That makes them better. Always say you give them the roots to grow and the wings to fly. Roots to grow is the solid sound technique and knowledge, and then wings to fly, you allow them to play within their own character. You have to do that with the players. Early on in my coaching career, you kind of get the guys going in the direction you want them to go. Later on now, I've developed into saying, no, you just go and play. Just go and be yourself. But knowing that they've got reference points to fall back on. They've got the technique that allows them to become that player. So that's a philosophy. And then I'm very goal-driven with a team. So we set out our objectives, we set out our goals, we set out our non-negotiables, and then we drive for those goals. And we set timeframes to them as well, because you can't just say, the biggest cop-out I think coaches say is, it's part of the process. Well, at some point the process has to finish. So no, we're very goal-driven and very, very success-driven as well.
मिकी आर्थर के बाद अब बात हो जाए वनडे इंटरनेशनल में पाकिस्तान की जानिब से शानदार परफॉर्मेंस देने वाले फखर जमान की। फखर जमान की पॉडकास्ट से गुफ्तगू करते हुए कहना था कि
आपको क्या लगता है इंडिविजुअली अगर आप देखते हैं, क्या असेसमेंट करते हैं आप जब किसी भी प्लेयर के लिए एक आता है बैट पैच, तो कौन से एरियाज़ पे वर्क करते हैं जहाँ पे आप कहते हैं कि फिर मुझे वापस वो कॉन्फिडेंस आए?
देखें, बैट पेज आपके बिल्कुल आते हैं और मेरे ख्याल में एक इस्टेब्लिश क्रिकेटर बनने के लिए आप पे बैट पेज आने भी चाहिए। बस ये है कि आप उसमें हिम्मत ना हारो और जो आपकी खामियां हैं उसको अगर आप दूर करने के लिए अपने ऊपर काम करें तो आप बिल्कुल आपको कामयाबी मिलती है। लेकिन मेरे पे जब भी बैट पेज आया तो मैं कोशिश करता हूँ कि मैं फिर बेसिक्स से शुरू करूँ और क्रिकेट पे ज़्यादा फोकस करूँ।
अच्छा, क्या ये सच है कि अक्सर हम कमेंट्री में भी कहते हैं कि एक बड़ा बैट्समैन जो हो, अगर वो चांस उसका ड्रॉप कर दो तो फिर वो आपको सज़ा देता है, फिर उसके बाद जो है चांस दूसरा नहीं देता?
बिल्कुल। अभी जब नसीम ने जब मिचेल का कैच छोड़ा, वो 96 पे था मेरे ख्याल में, तो मैंने बोला अब तो ये 200 करेगा। तो होता है, लेकिन देखें ये क्रिकेट जो है ये ऐसी गेम है, इस पे आप कुछ भी प्रेडिक्ट नहीं कर सकते। आप बाबर आजम के बारे में आप ये तो बता सकते हैं कि बाबर 10 मैच में 5 में बड़ा स्कोर करेगा, लेकिन उसके बारे में आप ये नहीं बोल सकते कि ये 10 के 10 में करेगा। कोई किसी के बारे में आप ये नहीं बोल सकते। तो प्रेडिक्शन जो है ना क्रिकेट में, मेरे ख्याल में ये ऐसी गेम है कि इसमें चलती नहीं है। मैं इतनी क्रिकेट खेल के भी ये बता रहा हूँ आपको, तो लेकिन ये है कि बिल्कुल आपको फीलिंग आती है।
अच्छा, इंडिविजुअली फ़खर ज़मान किस जोन में है? जैसे कि अब आप डिफरेंट नंबर्स पे खेल रहे हैं, वनडे में आप ओपन कर रहे हैं, T20 में आप 3-4 पे आ रहे हैं, तो वो एडजस्टमेंट कुछ ज़्यादा करनी पड़ती है या आप कहते हैं मैं कर लूँगा मैनेज?
देखिए, क्रिकेट मैं क्रिकेट को समझता हूँ कि आप मेंटली उसके लिए रेडी होते हैं जिस काम के लिए भी, तो वो आपको उसी टाइम ज़्यादा सूट कर जाता है। और क्योंकि आपके दिमाग ने कुछ चीज़ें एक्सेप्ट भी करनी पड़ती है, क्योंकि जैसे बाबर और रिजवान खेल रहे हैं।
फ़खर ज़मान ने अपनी प्रोग्रेस को कैसा देखा? आप अपने आप को टेक्निकली बेटर अब समझते हैं या आप कहते हैं कि जी गट फीलिंग, पावर हिटिंग, ये सब जो है मेरे हिस्सा है और मैं इसी को लेके चलता हूँ?
मैं सही बताऊँ तो मैं पहले टेक्निकली बहुत ज़्यादा साउंड था। जब 2015-16 की अगर बात हम करें, और फिर जब इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट में आया तो यहाँ पे मेरी पावर हिटिंग अच्छी हुई है, मेरी फिटनेस अच्छी हुई है, टेम्परामेंट बहुत अच्छा हुआ है। लेकिन टेक्निकली जो है ना, मैं उस तरह नहीं हूँ जिस तरह मैं 2015 और 16 में था।
कुछ जोड़ीदार जिसे कहते हैं, ओपनर साथ होते हैं, डिफरेंट लोगों के साथ डिफरेंट एराज में खेलना पड़ता है, केमिस्ट्री नज़र आती है दूर से भी। आप और इमाम जब ओपन कर रहे होते तो एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिख रही होती है जिसमें एक दूसरे को आंख का इशारा काफ़ी होता है सिंगल के लिए। वो आपके एक ओपनिंग पार्टनर एज ए हैसियत, तो फिर आपने बाबर के साथ भी किया, किस तरह से आप अपने साथी प्लेयर के साथ करते हैं अकोमोडेट?
आपने बिल्कुल सही बताया। जैसे अब इमाम के साथ है तो हम लोग ग्राउंड के अंदर भी, ग्राउंड से बाहर ड्रेसिंग रूम में भी, और वैसे भी अगर दूर होते हैं कभी फ़ोन पे बात भी होती है तो बहुत मतलब हम लोग बहुत हंसते हैं उसमें और बहुत एंजॉय करते हैं जहाँ पे भी कोई डिस्कशन होती है। तो इमाम, और उसका रीज़न भी ये है कि हम लोग अभी से नहीं, पाकिस्तान टीम से पहले भी हबीब बैंक के लिए हम लोग खेलते थे जब डोमेस्टिक, तो तब भी हम ओपन करते थे और वहाँ पे भी हम तकरीबन 3 से 4 साल तकरीबन खेले वहाँ पे साथ। तो बिल्कुल इमाम के साथ मैं बहुत ज़्यादा एंजॉय करता हूँ और उसकी ये भी है कि वो आपको बोर होने भी नहीं देता। अगर आप विकेट पे भी हो, वो दिखता नहीं है इस तरह इतना फ़नी, लेकिन वो बहुत ज़्यादा फ़नी भी है।
अच्छा, 2 सेंचुरीज़ बैक टू बैक, ओवरऑल कंसेक्यूटिव 3 सेंचुरीज़ हुई हैं इस सीरीज़ में। ग्राउंड वाइज ही बड़ा चेंजेस लाने पड़ते होंगे, पिंडी में अलग किस्म का पिच है, यहाँ पे अलग है, इन 200 को कहाँ रेट करते हैं अपने करियर में?
देखिए, आप पाकिस्तान के लिए जब रन्स करते हैं तो आपको अच्छा तो फील होता ही है, और फिर यहाँ पे अगर आप देखें तो पिछले कुछ अरसे से मेरे इतने ज़्यादा रन्स नहीं हो रहे थे, और मैंने काम किया। तो जब आप मेहनत करते हैं किसी भी फील्ड में और आपको उसका सिला मिलता है तो आपको खुशी ज़्यादा होती है। तो मुझे जो मैंने मेहनत की है अपने गेम पे और जो मुझे रिज़ल्ट मिल रहा है तो उस पर मुझे बहुत खुशी है।
50 ओवर का वर्ल्ड कप आ रहा है, ज़्यादा दूर नहीं है, साल के आखिर में। इंडिया में कह सकते हैं कि कंडीशंस थोड़ी बहुत सेम ही होंगी पाकिस्तान जैसी। उसकी प्रेपरेशन के लिहाज से अपने आप को कैसा देख रहे हैं? हम तो नज़र आ रहा है कि ऑब्वियसली 100 बैक टू बैक आ रहे हैं, लेकिन उसके लिए कुछ ख़ास मेंटल प्रेपरेशन और डिफरेंट चीज़ें करते हैं वर्ल्ड इवेंट के लिए?
देखिए सिकंदर भाई, मेरे ख्याल में हम लोग थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा वर्ल्ड कप को या दिमाग पे ले लेते हैं या दिल पे ले लेते हैं। मुझे नहीं लगता कि इसमें टीम में कोई ऐसा एक भी बंदा होगा जो वर्ल्ड कप का सोच रहा होगा, सिवाय कप्तान या मैनेजमेंट के। सारे जो प्लेयर्स होते हैं उनका सारा फोकस अगले मैच पे होता है, और वर्ल्ड कप काफ़ी दूर की बात है। तो उसके लिए बिल्कुल ये अच्छी तैयारी है। आप अगर आप परफॉर्म करते हो तो आपके लिए अच्छा होता है, लेकिन जब वर्ल्ड कप आएगा तो मेरे ख्याल में एज अ प्रोफेशनल जो है ना, हम लोगों को जितना मैं इस मैच के लिए हमने तैयारी की है सेम हम मतलब इसमें कोई चेंज नहीं आता, या ख्वाह वो वर्ल्ड कप का मैच हो या किसी भी किसी सेकंड डिवीज़न टीम के साथ मैच हो, तो तैयारी सबके लिए तकरीबन एक तरह हुई।
वैसे आपसे पूछते हैं, दुनिया भर में क्रिकेट खेली है आपने, आपकी नज़र में कौन सा कोई एक ऐसा फास्ट बॉलर है जिसको आप कहते हैं कि हाँ इसकी तरफ थोड़ा और आँखें और खोल कर रखनी पड़ती हैं, और वजह क्या है उसके, थोड़ा सा उसको आप इतना अप्रिशिएट और हाई रैंक करते हैं?
देखिए, मैं समझता हूँ कि सबसे पहला नाम तो मैं शाहीन शाह का लूँगा, क्योंकि वो और उसको वो मेरे अगेंस्ट कभी खेला नहीं है, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान के लिए भी साथ खेलते हैं, लाहौर कलंदर के लिए भी साथ खेलते हैं, लेकिन उसकी क्वालिटी ये है कि वो नेट में भी अगर आपको बॉलिंग करता है तो आपके साथ मैच लगा के करेगा, और वो आपको बुरा बॉल बहुत ज़्यादा बुरे बॉल कम देता है। मैं एज अ लेफ्ट हैंडेड की बात कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि वो उसकी जो एक्यूरेसी है, तो मैं काफ़ी ज़्यादा मैं स्टार को खेला हूँ, ट्रेंट बोल्ट को, काफ़ी ज़्यादा अच्छे बॉलर्स को खेला हूँ, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल में जो शाहीन शाह की एक्यूरेसी है, और अगर वो फुली फिट हो तो मेरे ख्याल में वो उस जैसा बॉलर नहीं होगा।
100 करके कोई आउट नहीं होना चाहता, मैच ख़त्म करना चाहते हैं, वो इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ जो फिनिशिंग लाइन।
बिल्कुल, देखिए ये सिकंदर भाई एक माहौल का भी बड़ा फ़र्क होता है। अभी बाबर आज़म ने इतने स्टैंडर्ड हाई कर दिए हैं, रिजवान ने और बाबर ने, कि वो अगर हम लोग उसको टच करने की कोशिश भी करते हैं तो हल्का फुल्का भी, तो हमारी परफॉर्मेंस, हमारा ग्राफ खुद ही ऊपर चला जाता है। तो हर कोई यही चाहता है कि उन रिजवान और बाबर के हम लोग थोड़ा सा करीब करीब जाएं। इवन आप अगर इमाम को देखें, इमाम के लास्ट मेरे ख्याल में 5-6 मैचेस इतने अच्छे भी नहीं हुए, लेकिन अगर आप उसकी परफॉर्मेंस को भी देखें तो यहाँ पे एक जो ट्रेंड इन्होंने सेट किया हुआ है, तो हर कोई कोशिश करता है कि, और जैसे आप अगर बॉलिंग में भी देखें, अब शाहीन शाह और हारिस रऊफ़ को आप देखें तो नसीम शाह हो गया, जितने भी वसीम, एहसानुल्लाह, तो ये अगर उनके करीब करीब जाने की कोशिश करते हैं तो मेरे ख्याल में वो टीम का ग्राफ काफ़ी ऊपर चला जाता है।
उम्मीद है कि आपको ये पॉडकास्ट पसंद आई होगी। अपने मेज़बान सैयद नज़ीर अहमद को इजाज़त दीजिए। अल्लाह हाफिज़।